really good way to understand sherry is to think of it by colour. Sweet sherries are almost black to look at, Fino's almost water white, and in between those two is a set of really intriguing dry sherries that are amber in colour, like this. And there are three basic styles of dry amber sherry: Amontillado, oloroso, and palo cortado. An Amontillado is possibly the driest wine in the world. It starts life as a Fino, is aged biologically under the floor yeast for 3 to 5 years, and instead of being bottled as a fresh young Fino, is then transferred into a new set of barrels to start another Solera of wine that's going to be aged for 5 to perhaps 50 years in barrels in an oxidative regime. So the first thing is that it's refortified up to 18%, and the new barrels that it's aged in are kept topped to minimise oxidisation. However, the process of making an amber sherry, an Amontillado in this instance, is definitively oxidative. So the colour pickup here is from the wine not having any protection from the floor yeast. Amontillado is simply a nutty overlay on the Fino characters. You should still taste the baby Fino that the wine was, and you'll have this lovely overlay of rainforest timbers and nuts in an incredibly dry style of wine. The other fundamental form of Palomino sherry is the oloroso. Oloroso starts off as a fruit classification, fruit that's too round and rich and textured to make a crunchy, tight, fresh young Fino, is set aside. It's not aged biologically under floor yeast. It's simply fortified straight away to 18% and put in topped barrels. Olorosos taste quite similar to Amontillado, but the main difference is not in flavour but in texture. An Oloroso will be silkier, rounder and richer, more voluptuous in mouthfeel than the very, very austere Amontillado. And in between the two, palo cortado. Palo cortado is the punk rocker of sherries. It's the kid that doesn't want to do what its parents tell it to do. It's set out to be a Fino, but after some period of time, despite being Fino fruit in the first place, despite being aged biologically under the floor yeast, palo cortados take a turn to the right and try to get all glyceric and rich and powerful like an oloroso. So a palo cortado is a natural barrel aberration where a Fino doesn't stick to style. It tries to get rich and unctuous like an oloroso. Palo cortado is actually a double negative. It's wine that's not Fino, nor is it oloroso either. It's stranded in a half world in between the two styles, and it's just the best thing in the world to have with charcuterie, with plates of cured meat, of course, including Spain's fantastic jamón.